Just one ship. Admiral Vaxer Tull slammed his four-fingered fist onto the glossy command console, causing several of his junior officers to flinch. Are you absolutely sure about this intelligence, Lieutenant Prim? Lieutenant Prim, a slender Quarian with pale blue skin, nodded nervously. Yes, Admiral. Our deep space sensors confirm it. The humans have dispatched only a single vessel to counter our armada. Admiral Tull's breathing tubes flared in what his species, the Drakonians, considered laughter. One ship against our fleet of 50? Have these humans completely lost their minds? Were they simply that arrogant? The massive view screen dominating the bridge of the Drakonian flagship, Inevitable Victory, showed a small blip approaching from the direction of Earth. The single human vessel was on an intercept course with the Drakonian invasion fleet, which had already conquered 3 planetary systems in this sector. Perhaps it's a diplomatic vessel, suggested Commander Zolt, Tull's second-in-command. Maybe they have finally come to their senses and wish to negotiate surrender terms. After what happened at Proxima Centauri, not likely. Admiral Tull stroked the scaled ridge along his jawline thoughtfully. No, this is something else. The humans are crafty creatures. They wouldn't send a lone ship without a reason. Lieutenant Prim cleared her throat. Should we alter course, Admiral? Avoid engagement. Admiral Tull stared at her, as if she'd just suggested they all strip naked and dance to honor the human ship. Avoid? Avoid? We are the Drakonian Armada. We do not avoid a single enemy vessel. What would the High Command say if they heard such cowardice? They'd have my scales for decorative wall hangings. Of course, Admiral. My apologies. Prim lowered her gaze, her antenna drooping in embarrassment. The bridge fell silent except for the soft beeping of instruments and the occasional gurgle from the ship's life support systems. Every officer was watching Admiral Tull, waiting for his decision. Maintain course, Tull finally announced, settling back into his command chair. But raise shields and prepare all weapons systems. If the humans want to commit suicide by attacking us with one ship, we shall grant their wish with appropriate fanfare. Yes, Admiral. The bridge crew responded in unison, turning to their stations with renewed purpose. Commander Zolt moved closer to the Admiral, speaking softly. Sir, do you remember what happened to the Gorvan fleet last cycle? They underestimated the humans, and the Gorvans were incompetent fools, Tull hissed quietly. They deserved what they got. We are Drakonians. We learn from others' mistakes. Of course, Admiral, Zolt replied, not entirely convinced. As the minutes passed, the tension on the bridge grew. The human ship continued its approach, making no attempts to hide or evade detection. Admiral, called out the sensors officer, I'm getting strange readings from the human vessel. Their power signature is unusual. Tull leaned forward. Unusual how? It's fluctuating in a pattern I have never seen before. And it's massive. Far more energy than a ship that size should be generating. Admiral Tull felt a prickle of unease along his spine ridges. Open a communication channel. Let's see what these humans are playing at. The communications officer worked at her console. Channel open, sir. Tull straightened in his chair, assuming his most imposing posture. Attention, human vessel. This is Admiral Vaxer Tull of the Drakonian Armada. You are approaching a superior military force. State your purpose immediately or be destroyed. The view screen flickered, and a human face appeared. Female, with dark skin and striking green eyes. She wore a simple gray uniform with minimal insignia. This is Captain Olivia Thornton of the Earth Defense Force vessel, Last Laugh. We have been expecting you, Admiral Tull. Tull's breathing tubes constricted slightly. How did she know his name? You have been expecting us? Then you must know you are hopelessly outmatched. One ship against 50? What possible purpose could this serve except suicide? Captain Thornton's lips curved into what humans called a smile, but there was nothing friendly about it. Oh, I'm well aware of the numerical disparity, Admiral. Question is, are you aware of what happened at Arcturus Prime last month? Arcturus Prime? Tull exchanged a quick glance with Commander Zolt. There have been rumors, unconfirmed reports of a Drakonian scout fleet that went missing in that sector. Your primitive deceptions won't work, human. Tull growled. Surrender your vessel, and I might consider letting your crew live as servants. Thornton laughed, a sound that somehow sent a chill through Tull despite the warmth of his command center. That's very generous of you, Admiral, but I'm afraid I will have to decline. You see, we humans have a saying, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. Meaningless human proverbs. Tull scoffed, though he was growing increasingly uneasy. Perhaps a demonstration would help clarify things. Thornton suggested, her tone conversational, as if discussing the weather. Please direct your attention to your rear flanking vessels. Despite himself, Tull nodded to his tactical officer, who switched the view screen to show the rear of their formation. Nothing seemed amiss. The ships were in perfect formation, their shields raised as a precaution, weapons ready. I see nothing but the might of the Drakonian, Tull began, but stopped abruptly as two ships on the outer edge of the formation suddenly flared with brilliant blue light. What's happening? He demanded. Unknown energy surge. Sir, the tactical officer replied, panic evident in his voice. Ships 37 and 42 are reporting complete systems failure. Their shields are collapsing. Tull whirled back to face the human on the screen. What have you done? Captain Thornton's expression hadn't changed. That was a courtesy tap, Admiral. A small demonstration of what the last laugh is capable of. Impossible. Tull roared. No single ship could. Incoming transmission from High Command, sir, interrupted the communications officer. Priority Alpha. Not now, Tull snapped. Sir, Commander Zolt said urgently. I think you should take this call. Something in Zolt's tone made Tull pause. Put it through to my private channel, he ordered a moment later, the gravelly voice of Fleet Marshal Krax, Supreme Commander of all Drakonian military forces, filled Tull's personal earpiece. Admiral Tull, retreat immediately. I repeat, withdraw from human space at once. Tull couldn't believe what he was hearing. Marshal Krax, with all due respect, we outnumber them 50-1. They have only a single. That single ship is the reason we lost 3 fleets in the past year. Krax hissed. The scout fleet at Arcturus Prime? Completely destroyed. By one ship. The mining operation at Vega? Gone. One ship. The outpost on Deneb 4? Vaporized. One ship. Tull felt his blood run cold. But how? Our intelligence indicated the humans were technologically inferior, that their fleet was scattered and disorganized. Our intelligence was wrong, Krax replied bluntly. We don't know how they have done it, but they have developed something new, something terrible. Now withdraw before you lose your entire armada. The communication cut off abruptly, leaving Tull stunned. He looked back at the human captain on the main view screen, seeing her with new eyes. Having a nice chat with your superiors, Admiral? Thornton asked pleasantly. I do hope they are giving you sensible advice. Tull struggled to regain his composure. What is that ship of yours? What kind of weapon are you using? Oh, this old thing. Thornton gestured around her bridge casually. Just a little something our engineers cooked up. We call it the Singularity Drive. Quite revolutionary, really. Allows us to manipulate space-time in some rather interesting ways. As if to emphasize her point, 2 more Drakonian ships suddenly flared with the same blue light, their power systems visibly failing. Stop this at once, Tull demanded, his breathing tubes fully extended in alarm. I could, Thornton acknowledged. But why would I? You came here to conquer Earth, didn't you? To subjugate humanity and strip our world of resources, just as you did to the Centaurians and the Proxima colonies. Tull couldn't deny it. That was precisely their mission. Here's what's going to happen. Admiral, Thornton continued, her voice hardening. You're going to turn your fleet around and leave human space. All of it. You're going to return to your high command and explain that humanity is off limits. And if we ever see another Drakonian warship in our territory again, we won't stop at disabling a few ships. We will come to your homeworld. With one ship. Just one. Do I make myself clear? The bridge was completely silent. Every officer was staring at Tull, waiting for his response. Pride warred with self-preservation in the Admiral's mind. The Drakonian Empire had never retreated, never surrendered. but they had also never faced anything like this before. You haven't won anything, human, Tull growled. This is merely a strategic withdrawal while we assess. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night. Admiral, Thornton interrupted with a shrug. Just be gone within the hour, or we will see how your flagship looks with all its systems fried. The screen went black as she cut the transmission. Tull sat motionless for several long seconds. Then, with a barely contained fury, he gave the order that no Drakonian admiral had given in over 3 centuries. All ships, reverse course. We are withdrawing. As the massive fleet began its ponderous turn away from Earth, Commander Zolt approached Tull's chair. Admiral, what are we going to tell the Emperor? Tull's breathing tubes fluttered in agitation. The truth, Zolt, that the humans have developed technology beyond our understanding, that they can defeat an entire armada with just one ship. And if he orders us to return and fight, Tull's eyes narrowed as he watched the small blip on the tactical display that represented the human vessel. So tiny, yet so devastating. Then we will need to find a way to counter their technology. But for now, he sighed heavily. For now, we retreat. As the Drakonian fleet accelerated away from Earth, Admiral Tull couldn't help but wonder if the humans could do this with just one ship. What else were they capable of? And why had they shown mercy today when they clearly had the power to destroy the entire armada? Perhaps humans were more complex than the Drakonian intelligence report suggested. Perhaps there was more to learn about these strange, inventive creatures. But one thing was certain. Tull would never again underestimate the species that could challenge an empire with just one ship. Just one ship. He murmured to himself, the words seeming to mock him with each repetition. Just one ship. 3 weeks later, in a secure chamber deep beneath the Drakonian Imperial Palace, Admiral Tull stood rigidly at attention before the Emperor and the full High Command. He had just finished his report on the encounter with the human vessel. So, Emperor Draconar said, his massive form looming over the assembled military leaders, you retreated because of one human ship? Tull swallowed hard. Yes, your magnificence. Based on what happened to our other fleets and the demonstration of their capabilities, I judged it the prudent course of action. Prudent. The Emperor's breathing tubes inflated fully in anger. The Drakonian Empire does not retreat. We conquer. We dominate. We cannot fight what we do not understand. Interrupted Fleet Marshal Cracks, earning shocked looks from everyone present. No one interrupted the Emperor. No one, yet instead of ordering Crax's immediate execution, Emperor Draconar fell silent, his eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Explain, he commanded. Crax stepped forward. Your Magnificence, in the past year, we have lost 3 fleets to human vessels. Not human fleets, individual ships. Our scientists have analyzed the data from Admiral Tull's encounter and confirmed that the humans appear to have developed technology that can manipulate space-time itself. Impossible, growled Science Minister Vex. Such technology would require energy sources beyond anything known to exist. And yet, Crax replied, the evidence suggests otherwise. Whatever this singularity drive is, it represents a paradigm shift in warfare. We need to understand it before we can counter it. The Emperor's breathing tubes slowly deflated as he considered this. What do you propose? Espionage, Crax said simply. We need intelligence. We need to infiltrate human space, capture one of these ships if possible, or at least obtain detailed scans. And in the meantime, the Emperor demanded, we just allow humans to think they have defeated us. Admiral Tull cleared his throat. Your Magnificence, if I may, the human captain said something curious. She threatened to come to our home world if we violated their space again. With just one ship. A bluff, scoffed the War Minister. Perhaps, Tull acknowledged. But what if it isn't? What if they could reach Draconia with that technology? Our planetary defenses are designed to repel conventional attacks, not whatever this is. A heavy silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. Finally, the Emperor spoke. Very well. For now, we will avoid further confrontation with the humans while we gather intelligence and develop countermeasures. But mark my words, this is temporary. The Draconian Empire will not be defied forever. Not by humans. Not by anyone. As the meeting concluded, Admiral Tull found himself wondering about Captain Thornton and her strange ship. Had the humans truly mastered space-time itself? Or was there something else at play? Whatever the answer, one thing was becoming clear. Humanity was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. And perhaps, though it pained Tull to admit it, far more worthy of respect as well. Just one ship, he whispered to himself as he left the Imperial chamber. Why did the humans send just one ship? The question would haunt him for many cycles to come. 0.6 months had passed since the standoff between the Drakonian Armada and the human vessel, Last Laugh. Throughout the galaxy, rumors spread like wildfire. Some said the humans had harnessed the power of black holes. Others claimed they'd made contact with extra-dimensional beings who'd gifted them with technology beyond comprehension. The Galactic Council, normally dismissive of lesser species affairs, had convened 3 emergency sessions to discuss what many were now calling the human question. For Gorla Pex, Chief Science Officer of the Quarian Intelligence Division, these rumors were both fascinating and deeply troubling. The Quarians had long served as the intelligence arm of the Drakonian Empire, their natural telepathic abilities making them excellent spies and information gatherers. But even they had failed to penetrate the secrets of human technology. Officer Pex, your report, please. Fleet Marshal Crax's hologram flickered slightly in the dimly lit briefing room. Gorla adjusted her sight enhancements and cleared her throat. Marshal, after analyzing all available data, we have reached 3 possible conclusions about the human singularity drive. None are particularly comforting. The assembled Drakonian military leadership shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Admiral Tull, who had been reassigned to a desk job following his strategic withdrawal, looked particularly grim. First possibility, Gorla continued. The humans have indeed developed technology that can manipulate space-time, creating localized distortions that disable our ship's systems without damaging the physical structure. And how would they achieve this? Demanded Science Minister Vex. Unknown. Our understanding of quantum physics suggests it would require energy equivalent to a small sun. War Minister Drak slammed a fist on the table. Impossible. No ship that size could generate or contain such power. Which brings me to possibility 2, Gorla said calmly, her antenna twitching slightly. The humans are bluffing. A murmur ran through the room. Explain, Crax ordered. Our intelligence suggests that humans are masterful psychological warriors. They may have staged these incidents, perhaps using conventional but well-disguised weapons, combined with elaborate misinformation. Admiral Tull leaned forward. I saw those ships disabled with my own eyes. There was nothing conventional about it. With respect, Admiral, Gorla replied, advanced technology is often indistinguishable from magic to those who don't understand it. What you witnessed could have been a new form of electromagnetic pulse weapon, for instance. Tull's breathing tubes flared in irritation. And our other lost fleets? The outpost on Deneb-4? All elaborate hoaxes? Not hoaxes, Gorla corrected. Tactical deceptions. Humans excel at making adversaries believe they are stronger than they actually are. The room fell silent as the Drakonian leaders considered this possibility. And the third option. Fleet Marshal Crax finally asked. Gorla hesitated. The humans have help. Help? From whom? The Transcended. The word hung in the air like a toxic cloud. The Transcended, a near-mythical race said to have evolved beyond physical form millions of years ago. Most rational beings dismissed them as legends, but enough inexplicable phenomena had been attributed to them over the millennia that even the most skeptical scientists couldn't completely discount their existence. You can't be serious, War Minister Drak scoffed. Why would godlike beings take an interest in hairless primates from a backwater planet? Gorla's antenna drooped slightly. I don't claim to understand their motivations, Minister. I merely present it as a possibility consistent with observed phenomena. Fleet Marshal Crax's hologram flickered as he paced. Regardless of which theory is correct, we need better intelligence. What progress on the infiltration operation? A new voice spoke from the shadows at the back of the room. "That's where I come in." All heads turned as a figure stepped forward, a Drakonian unlike any they'd seen before. His scales were pale, almost pinkish, his breathing tubes unnaturally small, and his body lacked the imposing bulk typical of their species. "This is Agent Dorn," Krax introduced, "our most successful deep-cover operative. He's been modified to infiltrate human society." Agent Dorn nodded stiffly. Even his movements seemed wrong, too fluid for a Drakonian. "The genetic and surgical alterations are extensive," Dorn explained, his voice higher pitched than normal for his species. "With the right clothing and dim lighting, I can pass for a human long enough to accomplish my mission." "Which is?" Admiral Tull asked. "I have secured employment as a maintenance technician at the Jupiter shipyards, where intelligence suggests the last laugh is currently docked for upgrades. My objective is to gain access to the ship and transmit detailed scans of its propulsion systems." Science Minister Vex leaned forward eagerly. "When do you deploy?" "I'm already back from my first reconnaissance," Dorn replied, earning surprised looks from everyone. "The intelligence I have gathered, well, it changes everything." He tapped a control on his wrist, and a holographic projection appeared above the table. Technical diagrams of a ship's engine room. "This is the propulsion system of the last laugh," Dorn explained. "And as you can see, it's completely conventional. Standard fusion reactors, ion drives for sublight, and a typical fold space generator for FTL travel." Confusion rippled through the room. "But that's impossible," Gorla protested. "How could they disable our ships with standard technology?" "They couldn't," Dorn agreed, "which is why I investigated further. The key isn't in their propulsion system. It's here." The hologram shifted to show a different section of the ship, a small, unassuming compartment near the bridge. "What are we looking at?" Fleet Marshal Krax demanded. "A communications array," Dorn said simply. "The most sophisticated I have ever seen, but unmistakably just communications technology." Admiral Tull frowned. "What does this mean?" Dorn's expression was grim. "It means none of our theories were correct. The humans aren't manipulating space-time. They aren't bluffing. And they don't have help from the transcended." "Then what?" Krax growled impatiently. "They have friends," Dorn replied. "Many friends, scattered throughout the galaxy." He tapped his wrist control again, and the hologram changed to show a star map with dozens of points highlighted in red. "These are the locations of various non-human civilizations that have established diplomatic relations with Earth in the past decade. Most are small, technologically advanced species that have managed to avoid Drakonian detection." "Impossible," War Minister Drak exclaimed. "We control this entire sector." "Evidently not," Dorn countered. "These species have formed what humans call the Mutual Defense Alliance. When the humans sent that single ship against our armada, they weren't showing off some revolutionary technology. They were demonstrating something far more dangerous." "Which is?" Krax asked, though his tone suggested he already suspected the answer. "Coordination," Dorn said simply. "That communications array allows them to instantly contact their allies. When Captain Thornton threatened us, she wasn't bluffing about her ship's capabilities. She was relaying real-time tactical data to cloaked vessels from at least 6 different allied species that had our fleet surrounded." A stunned silence fell over the room. "So when our ships were disabled," Admiral Tull began. "It wasn't the last laugh that did it," Dorn confirmed. "It was hidden ships from their alliance, using various technologies tailored to disable our specific systems. The humans knew exactly how to counter us because their allies have been studying our technology for years." Fleet Marshal Krax's hologram seemed to dim slightly as the implications became clear. "They made us believe a single human ship could defeat an armada. An ingenious psychological tactic," Gorla admitted, her scientific curiosity temporarily overriding her alarm. "They have created a myth of human technological superiority that's spreading fear throughout our empire, while their actual advantage lies in cooperation, something we have never bothered to cultivate." War Minister Drak slammed his fist down again. "This changes nothing. We simply find and destroy these allied species one by one." With respect, Minister, Dorn interjected, it changes everything. Our intelligence now indicates there are at least 37 species in this alliance, most using technology we have never encountered before. And they are growing. 3 more joined just in the past month, inspired by the story of how one human ship faced down a Drakonian Armada. So what do you propose? Krax asked, his voice unusually subdued. That the mighty Drakonian Empire simply accept this coalition of weaklings as our equals. Dorn hesitated, choosing his words carefully. I propose we consider something unprecedented in our history, martial diplomacy. The word seemed to physically pain the assembled Drakonian leadership. You suggest we negotiate? With prey species? War Minister Drax's breathing tubes were fully extended in outrage. I suggest we recognize that the galaxy has changed, Dorn replied firmly. The humans have done what we thought impossible, united dozens of diverse species in common cause against us. We can either adapt to this new reality or face a war unlike any we have fought before. Admiral Tull, who had been quietly contemplative, finally spoke. There's one thing I don't understand. If what Agent Dorn says is true, and the humans had us surrounded with allied ships during our encounter, why didn't they simply destroy us? They clearly had the capability. All eyes turned to Dorn, who smiled thinly. That, Admiral, is perhaps the most disturbing revelation of all. According to communications I intercepted, the humans argued against destroying our fleet. The vote among their alliance was close, but humanity convinced their allies to show restraint. But why? Tull pressed. After what we did to their colonies? Because, Dorn said, they believe in redemption. Even for us. 6 weeks later, in Earth's orbital diplomatic station, Captain Olivia Thornton stood before a viewport, watching as the massive Drakonian diplomatic vessel maneuvered into its designated docking position. Beside her, Admiral James Parker, head of Earth Defense Force, shook his head in amazement. I still can't believe it worked, he muttered. When you proposed this plan a year ago, I thought you'd lost your mind. Thornton smiled. The Drakonians have always seen the galaxy through the lens of conquest. We just had to show them a different picture. By making them think we had some super weapon. By making them think we had something worth investigating rather than simply destroying, Thornton corrected. Their curiosity about our supposed singularity drive bought us the time we needed to bring more allies into the coalition. Admiral Parker chuckled. And now they're coming to negotiate rather than conquer. All because of one ship. Not just any ship, Thornton replied, patting the bulkhead affectionately. The last laugh was perfect for the role. Old enough to have been modified extensively, small enough to seem non-threatening, but with enough legitimate defensive capabilities to make our bluff credible. Speaking of bluffs, Parker said, lowering his voice despite the secure location. Do you think they have figured out that some of our allies don't actually exist? Thornton's eyes twinkled with mischief. What do you mean, Admiral? Are you suggesting that the fearsome Volturians of the Cygnus Expanse, with their dreaded phase shift technology, are just elaborate holograms and carefully crafted communications? Among others, Parker replied with a grin. Half our coalition exists only in our communication logs and sensor ghosts. A fact I trust will remain classified at the highest level, Thornton said, her expression growing serious. The real allies we have made need to believe in the coalition's strength as much as our adversaries do. Parker nodded. Of course, though I must say, your background in theatrical performance before joining EDF has served humanity remarkably well, Captain. Sometimes the greatest victories are won without firing a shot, Thornton replied. The Drakonians needed to believe they were outmatched, not just militarily, but intellectually. Their entire society is built on the conviction of their own superiority. And now they're questioning everything they thought they knew about humans and the other lesser species they have been subjugating. That kind of existential doubt is more powerful than any weapon we could deploy against them. A chime sounded, indicating that the Drakonian vessel had successfully docked. Soon, for the first time in history, Representatives of the Drakonian Empire would meet with the coalition of allied worlds on equal diplomatic footing. "Well," Admiral Parker said, straightening his uniform, "shall we go meet our guests?" Captain Thornton took one last look at the Drakonian ship through the viewport. "You know what the best part is? When we eventually tell them the truth, decades from now, when peace is firmly established, they will find it even more impressive that we fooled them with one ship and a lot of theatrical smoke and mirrors than if we'd actually had some magical technology." Assuming they don't immediately declare war again out of embarrassment, Parker noted dryly. "By then, it won't matter," Thornton replied confidently. "The real coalition we are building will be strong enough to stand without illusions. Today is just the first step." As they walked toward the diplomatic reception area, Thornton couldn't help but smile at the thought of Admiral Tull's face when he realized the full truth. The Drakonians had sent an armada to conquer Earth, and humanity had responded with one ship. Not because they were arrogant or suicidal, but because sometimes one ship was all you needed to change the course of galactic history. Not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through something the Drakonians had never bothered to understand: imagination, cooperation, and the audacity to bluff on a cosmic scale. "Just one ship," she murmured to herself, echoing Admiral Tull's bewildered words from their encounter. "That's all it takes to start a legend." As the massive doors to the diplomatic chamber slid open, revealing the imposing forms of the Drakonian delegation, Captain Thornton stepped forward with the confidence of someone who had already won the most important battle. Not the one fought with weapons and ships, but the one fought in the minds of her adversaries. After all, perception was reality, and humanity had just rewritten the Drakonians' perception of the entire galaxy. Not bad for just one ship.